Welcome to the Lowdown Podcast, the show where we dive deep into the topics that directly impact the evolving originator. I'm your host, Connor Bartley. Bam! And joining me today is Jake Lambro. This guy really caught my attention on Instagram specifically. He's doing things a little differently. He's marketing in a different way that is working in a big way. And I wanted to have him on the show so we could discuss some of the approaches that he is taking that are bearing a lot of fruit and making an impact on the referral partners that he does business with. His business has been on an upward trajectory. He's doing some phenomenal things in his local market. And, hopefully the listeners today from the Lowdown will get a ton of value from you, Jake. I appreciate you joining. So thanks for being on the Lowdown.
Yeah, thanks for reaching out. I'm honored that you found me off of Instagram and hit me up to do something. So this is new for me, so I'm very happy and excited. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. Well, hey, so that the listeners can get a better sense of who you are, if you don't mind, just give us a little bit of background on yourself, how you found the mortgage industry, and kind of what things have been like for you over the last couple of years in this business.
Yeah, got in 4 years ago. I graduated Santa Clara University in 2020. It was the heart of COVID when we didn't know it was going to be booming for the economy, so nobody was hiring. I wanted to get into commercial real estate. Nobody was hiring in the Bay. School was over, had to move home to mom and dad. Did that. Mom's friend was in the mortgage industry. Rates were kind of getting down there a little bit. She was doing more refinances and needed some help. So I honestly didn't even know what a mortgage loan originator was, but she was like, get your license. I got that on my third try.
Charm.
For anybody that doesn't know, they give you 3 before you have to wait 6 months. So
right.
That was really thrilling experience to get it on my third try. But first year, I did 50-ish refinances for her. She has a huge book of business. She's an awesome producer, and I owe a lot of my success to her. After that year, I went to a slightly bigger team and did some purchases for another LO at the same company. So just some back-end LOA stuff. Mm-hmm. And then my third year, I took a leap of faith and moved over to Guild Mortgage. Casey Oines, my branch manager, told me he believed in me, even though I hadn't really done any business myself. I had done, I think, 6 to 8 million of my own stuff. It was all friends and family, just refinancing my dad sort of stuff. And then, I came over to Guild, kind of started my own thing, and I just threw a bunch of stuff at a wall and saw what stuck and doubled down on that. So first year doing my own thing, 21 million in volume, and then this last year, 2024, 35 million.
That's phenomenal, man. In this market, growth is insane to see anyway. I mean, I don't know what the numbers are, but I know depending on where you're at, some markets are down 37%, others 42, some 25. Everywhere's down, right? And to see growth in an originator is really unique and it stands out. But I'll say, man, you got to give yourself some credit. Like, you were touching a lot of refinances, you were doing some business, and so all of that is important. And this is a common theme among some of the folks that have come on the Lowdown podcast is they get into the industry in a high volume environment where they're exposed to a lot of different scenarios, where they're exposed to an environment where the work ethic is just at a different level. The standard is higher. And the average, branch in the industry, and these may just be me making up some numbers because, I recruit for this business, but what I typically see is a branch that's doing somewhere in the ballpark of 3 to 5 million. They've got 4 to 7 loan officers. And when you get thrown into that environment, from the get-go, your standard is a lot different than someone who's joining a high-producing office. And when you're number 2 in the branch doing 600,000, you feel pretty good about being number 2. But when you're in a branch where the standard for, number 2 is 10 loans that month, you're way off pace. And so it's just, there's a different feel to that.
Yeah, it was a wake-up call initially, right? I mean, I got in during the heart of COVID, so both my bosses that I worked for were doing, on average, 15 to 20 million a month. And there was 10 plus producers. It was the Caliber Home Loans in Kirkland. I think it was like the biggest producing branch for those 2 years in the nation of any company. Over $1 billion in volume. It was just crazy, but the leaderboard was 26 million, 24 million, 18 million, 16 million, and so it gave me a different perspective of what success was. So my floor and my ceiling were probably starting off at a very different level than somebody that might get into a situation like what you just described.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm glad that somebody, saw that in you and gave you that chance. And so now you are carving out your own path, really starting to, catch wind in your sails and do things your way. And like I said at the very beginning, like I found you on Instagram. I saw that you're putting in the work to do the personal brand and really, doing the outreach. I loved your energy drink reviews. I thought that was great. But like, take us through that. Like, what have you found works on Instagram? What are some of the things that you have tinkered with and toyed with, and where do you find like a sweet spot with that?
Yeah, I think being myself, so you talk about energy drinks. I love energy drinks. So
Yeah.
I thought posting about that is a good reflection of who I am. I'm trying to attract people that are going to like working with me. The best way I can do that is just being myself. So I'm into loans and real estate, obviously. I'm into energy drinks, I'm into food, and I'm into bodybuilding. I do kind of bodybuilding on the side, so that's what I
Okay.
like. So I just post a lot about that sort of stuff. And the people that connect with me, I then go grab coffee with agents, referral partners, whoever it might be. And oftentimes the meetings go super, super well because those people wouldn't have reached out if they didn't think they'd be buddies with me in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's awesome. So you're just being authentically you, letting people know that you're in this business. And like, how much of your time do you spend actively trying to connect and engage with their content?
Very often. So I try to support just as I would want to be supported. So I'm always liking all of my realtor stuff. I'm commenting that it's a great video or DMing them or sliding on their story saying this is cool or whatever. And then I'm also doing that with agents that I want to gain a relationship with too. I think the first way to do anything is to give some sort of value, and something as small as a like is value to those people. They are posting that to get likes, to gain attention, to get notoriety and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. Like, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. I'm just now getting started on Facebook. And, like, I know the anxiety that people feel before they post something. Just that, that insecurity of, is anybody going to like this? Does anybody care? Are people going to think I'm stupid? Are they going to think I'm a fake and a phony and a fraud and all this stuff? And then suddenly someone supports it, and someone throws out a nice comment, and it's like, it's so uplifting and it's great. And I think people forget that sometimes, like they just scroll right on past it, and you can really stand out a lot. I think more important than producing content is supporting content. Like, as far as building yourself up on social, like you start with supporting others, and then start
Yeah.
posting, and great things happen.
And it couldn't be easier, right? I mean, just DMing somebody like, I really like that you're posting content, keep it up. That means the world. I know if I got something like that, and I have gotten stuff like that, it really, really means a lot.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I want to talk about these coffee talks that you're doing, because I think that kind of piggybacks on some of what we talked about before, and just that concept of doing business with the people that you would love to hang out with. I've viewed some of these before we hopped on, and just the conversational nature of it, and you can tell that people are really comfortable with you. So help me understand, like, the concept of that, how you came up with it, how you're executing that, and what's been the feedback and the results of that.
Yeah, I just want to showcase my agents. I want to show who they are so my feed can be a database of different agents. So if there's a home buyer that's looking for a real estate agent to work with, they have 20, 30, 40 real estate agents that they can click on and get a clip of kind of what their personality is like. And it also helps agents continue their social media journey, start their social media journey. I know a lot of them are reaching out to me because they're not doing any content and they want to get going. So being able to come on a coffee talk and get 5 or 6
Yeah.
clips of them, talking about what makes them special or collaborating with me, and then they can post that and kind of start and see the traction of, oh shoot, this actually works. That's really what I'm trying to get out of it.
Yeah, no, I love that, man. And you're so right. Like, some people, they're paralyzed about, what do I come up with for content? And as a modern originator, like, that's a great way to provide value to them that helps them in their own professional development. And I noticed you've got 3 rules for your coffee talk, like, crew, right? I saw it was, well, I'll let you tell. What are the 3 rules that you have out there for the community?
3 rules. Go ahead and say them. Is it?
Okay. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm catching you off guard here. I caught give without expectation.
Yeah, of
I
course.
caught create value for free, and embrace the hard. Okay, so I thought those were great pillars, and I'd love to dive into that a little bit because I like that you've got like a standard that you want for the crew that you're going to run with.
Yeah, giving without expectation. I feel like a lot of times people put stuff on social media and you're like, wow, this guy's really giving a lot of content. And next thing you know, they ask you to buy a course or they're selling something. And there's always like a little catch. And those type of people are like the snakiest people. It just makes me crawl in my skin to even like think about people like that. So giving without the expectation of anything in return, you can't really lose by doing that. If you just give, eventually somebody is going to want to give back to you. You put enough goodwill out there, it's going to come back versus you feeling like you need to ask for it because you've done enough. I
Sure,
don't think there
sure.
is enough. It will come back and it will come back when you've done enough. So you don't decide when it's enough. The fate.
Good way to put it.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
that's kind of that pillar. And then what one do you want me to discuss next?
Create value for free. Like,
Yeah, same thing with courses. I think if your free stuff is can be better than people's paid stuff, you're
there
in
you go.
pretty good shape. Yeah, I just I don't want to come across as salesy in any sort of way. We just had a coffee talk before this, and this agent reached out to me to work with me. I didn't even reach out to them, which kind of flips everything on its head compared to what we learn in this industry as far as reaching out to realtors. And he said the reason he reached out to me is because I don't come across as salesy at all. I don't think you need to ask for realtors' business. I
Hmm.
think you giving enough value is that ask.
Right.
They should feel lucky to work with you, right?
Mhm.
But you have to position yourself to be able to do that.
Yeah, I love that, man. Like the value that you share shows your expertise. It shows what it's like to work with you. The consistency that you show up at, shows how consistent you are professionally and how you're going to deliver on the goods along the way. And so, yeah, I think the concept is really sound. Do you subscribe to or read up on any other, like, what are your influences on that? Are you listening to the Alex Hormozis of the world or the Russell
Yeah.
Brunsons, or what are some of the influences you have?
Alex Hormozy, Chris Williamson, I guess, are two podcasts that I listen to a lot. And I know Alex Hormozy, it seems cheesy because everybody's listening to him right now, but I mean, that's a guy that has scaled a $250 million net
Yeah.
worth. Obviously, he has something that he knows that I should probably take note on. So, his stuff is a lot of small business stuff. So, some stuff that he says doesn't really translate over to lending perfectly. But
Sure.
I'm just getting information from him and trying to spit it out in the lending sense where I can.
Yeah.
And I think it's speaking for itself, like it's really working. And I thought, man, like if I'm not salesy, how do I know that, or how do I tell people that they want to work with me? You
Yeah.
can't. But, through trial and error, I've just realized that you can. If you just keep giving, eventually people want to work with you.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's remarkable that you've got people volunteering themselves to be a partner with you.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, to your point, that it flips it on its head. That's the paradigm shift that I think we're all after. What do you mean by when you say embrace the hard?
So, I mean, it didn't start this easy, right? Initially, you have to give before you receive anything. That initial part where you're giving, and you don't see anything in return is hard, right? You're posting on social media, you're paying for an editor and videographer, and you're not seeing anything in return. You don't know if it's going to work. Nobody's really done this before in the lending industry, so you really don't know if it's going to work. But you just have to stick the course and trust that what you've learned from people that you aspire to be are telling you the truth and what they say actually works. So you have to push through that. And then it's also pretty uncomfortable because it gets expensive and time consuming when you're avoiding doing the things that your mentors in lending are telling you to do, right? Cold call, go knock on an office's door and give them coffee, go shake hands with all these different things that I'm sure have worked for other people's business. I was ignoring those, even though those are the things that are tried and true that work, and doing kind of my own thing, just because I knew if I had to do that stuff, I would burn out, even if I was successful, because I don't get any energy from doing stuff like that. So I had to do something that I wanted to do, and I knew if I fell on my face, it was fine because I wouldn't have been able to do the other one anyways. Even if it ended up working, I would have hated it. So it was
Yeah.
pretty much a no-lose situation.
Yeah, I just heard a podcast with Seth Godin last night. He's a big marketing guy, and he discussed this topic of sunk cost. And this is exactly what he's talking about. So The example he gives was a little different. It was basically you go to law school, you become a lawyer, you graduate, you go become a lawyer, and then you hate being a lawyer. And you realize, oh crap, I'm doing something I don't love. But the sunk cost is I spent all these years going to school and all the money getting the degree, and I passed the bar. So you're at this crossroads of, do I just continue being a lawyer knowing that I hate doing it, or do I quit and pursue something that I know I'll love? And I think where you find the magic in life is just when you pursue doing the things that you get energy from, that you enjoy doing, and then you'll find a way to make that work, right? And so I love that comment. And so many people in the industry are struggling with, they're holding on to the sunk cost of the old way of doing things.
And it's not working and it sucks their energy.
Yeah.
It's such a lose-lose, and you might as well turn it into a win-win. Do what you love, and if it doesn't work, well, shoot, nothing was working anyways, so it doesn't really matter. At least now you realize this maybe isn't the industry for you, or whatever that industry is isn't the industry for you, or doing what you do like works. And then that's a huge win-win. And that's where I found myself lucky enough to be.
Yeah, people are attracted to others that are having a good time, right?
It's hard to beat a guy that's doing what he loves. If you're showing up to work every day alongside somebody that's doing what they love and you're doing something that you absolutely hate, even if you're more of a grinder than that person is, and I consider myself a grinder, I'm going to burn out before that person, because they don't even feel like they're grinding. They're just doing something they love every single day that they'd be doing if they weren't getting paid for it anyways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have to beat that guy.
So I want to point something out to the listeners, because when we talked the first time last week, you made a comment to me that really stood out, and it was that you knew you weren't like this detail-oriented guy. And so in order for you to be successful, you knew you needed to hire an assistant, and you just went ahead and did that. And I call that out because I know there's a lot of people that feel they need one, but they're waiting on the company they work for to go ahead and gift them that, and they're saying, give me an assistant and I'll do more production. You went the other way. You said, I need an assistant to do more production. I'm just going to do it, and then the results have followed. So walk us through like that decision process, though, and how that's worked out for you.
I'll tell you, I wish it worked the other way.
Yeah.
I wish they would just give me the assistant. But no, I feel like you have to take the leap of faith. I mean, it is very hard in this business to produce a decent volume on just your own. I mean, you're going to have weaknesses no matter what it is, and you just have to hire. And again, I wasn't getting happiness from looking at W-2s, pay stubs, calculating income, assets, asking borrowers for docs, following up on that kind of stuff. It was draining to me. So I figured I would rather leave the business than do this myself. So I might as well hire somebody, take on the cost, take on the risk, continue to double down on what I like doing, see if it works, and then if I do the volume, then everything else falls into place. My LOA is taking care of what I don't like to do. I'm able to double down on what I like doing, and it's working, and there's volume to support all of it.
Yeah, that's so smart, man. Like, there's a glass ceiling in our industry, and that's typically one of the signs of it, is this chicken before the egg kind of argument about having the assistant. And you know, the LO says, give me one, and the company says, do more volume, and the LO says, I would if you gave me an assistant, and then it's just this, standoff. So I love that you took the initiative.
I think you'll always have to hire before the volume justifies it. You just have to have faith in yourself. If you're scared of doing that, you don't actually think the volume is going to follow, because otherwise you just do it.
Right, yeah. Scared money don't make money, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Very cool, man. Well, I'm just curious, like, if you were starting over in your business now, and I know you've only been doing it a couple of years, but let's say today you were starting from zero, what would you do? Like, what's the first move?
I think finding a mentor that's doing a good bit of business so you can feel what a good floor is like, versus going, like we talked about, going into a branch that's doing 600,000 for the top producer that month. Go somewhere where it's a big producer, you have big aspirations, figure out what they're bad at, what they don't like to do, get really, really good at that, and then do that for them. So my boss didn't want to do any refinance stuff at the beginning, and I said, okay, I'll take that over, and I got a little salary from it. I didn't make much, but I think what I'm trying to say here is you need to learn the business first. You need to know what to talk about and how to talk to people. So when I have these coffee talks, or anytime I'm talking lending, like, I have to know what I'm doing. I can't just do what I love doing and think everything's going to be good, not knowing what the heck I'm selling or anything.
Right, right.
So I think for the first couple years, do some refinances, do some purchases, be in a place that has a really good culture of high volume and high work ethic. And then it's all about taking the leap of faith and doing what you like doing. Because if you do what you don't like doing, you're going to burn out, and that might work for a short period of time, but it's not going to work forever. So do what you like doing. For me, it was social media. For somebody else, it really might be going and bringing coffees to a real estate class, or, giving a speech or whatever it might be. Just find what you like doing, double down on it. Don't be afraid to hire, and have trust in yourself.
Sure.
And that's what I would do.
That's awesome, man. And so a year from now, when we look back, where are you going to be January of 2026? Like, what's the big goal for this year?
Yeah, so production, we want to hit 50 million for the team. I want to make one more hire. I know to get to that level, I'm going to need to hire one more person. I'm trying to figure out what that role is, but I imagine hiring that person in the next month or two. Personally, I want to do a bodybuilding show, and I want to document that on social media. And I'm going to do the coffee talks, but it's going to be at a gym. So it's going to be like between sets with agents. A lot of my agents are like physically fit and active. So it's not going to necessarily be highlight of like anybody bench pressing, but just between us talking about mindset, real estate, whatever comes up. I mean, you're huffing and puffing. It's so raw and original when you're
Yeah.
in that kind of moment. So I think it'll be a really good kind of spin-off of the coffee talk. Again, doing something that I love and kind of spinning it to, help create business and help create value.
Yeah, that's so smart, man. I love that.
Those are
So
my
it
two.
sounds like you've got like a little community forming within the coffee talks and the groups. So like, are you a connector between those agents? If they need help in some area, somebody that's doing that already, or
Yeah, totally. I think a lot of agents come to me. I had an agent come to me the other day. He goes, "Hey, do you know any agents in Tennessee?" And sure enough, one of the agents, I haven't done anything with him, but sure enough, we follow each other, and we've DM'd a few times, and he's big on social, and we've supported each other. And I go, you know what? I do. And I connected them, and now the lead's over with the agent in Tennessee. So I'm trying to connect people. In the summer, we always go out on the boat, and I bring agents, and then I meet agents on their boat, and next thing you know, all of my agents who didn't know each other are good friends, and they're hanging out without me, and then taking a picture and say, hey, I wish you could have came or whatever. So really building a community, turning everybody into friends, I think is the biggest thing. It's so sticky when you're friends with your referral partners versus just being a business associate of sorts.
yeah, yeah, I'm seeing that really be kind of the way to operate these days. Is it's you got to be more than just the business partner. It's people want to do business with the people that they love hanging out with. Like, it's more than just, funding alone at this point. It's really about having that deeper relationship, a friendship, knowing about their families, and really just kind of being someone they want to be around.
If there's an agent I want to work with and they already have a lender, I respect that relationship wholeheartedly, but I'll still ask that person to, hey, let's go golf, let's go grab a beer. And I don't talk about business. I'm not trying to take their business by any means. But over time, if you go play a few rounds of golf, have a couple beers, go out on the boat, have a dinner with these guys, next thing you know, they don't even remember who their lender was before.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Well, because you're there and they're not. Good deal, man. Well, hey, I just want to thank you for jumping on the lowdown with me today, man. I really appreciate the time. Like, that was so value packed what we just talked about. I know that anyone listening is going to get a ton of content from this that's going to be helpful. There are people out there that want to evolve. They know how to do the loans. They know how to get business, but they want more. And they're at this 3-4 loan a month kind of cap, and they know that there's something else out there for them. And they're just looking for answers like what you provided today to help them level up. And so I appreciate you sharing these insights, man. It was great having you on, and I wish you nothing but the best in 2025.
Thanks, Connor. And thanks for doing this. I don't think there's a lot of places lenders can go for any mentorship of any sort other than their branch. And I think a lot of people are stuck in tough situations with their branch, like we've talked about a couple times. So to be able to have this database, I think is hugely, hugely, hugely valuable. So thank you.
Absolutely, man. Thanks.